What do you think? They're 16-12, and you know, the image is that the Francona team started out slow. That is not necessarily the case the last 3-4 years.
I think it was early in his tenure.
Yeah.
Obviously here you see the 10-11, but the past 3 years they've been off to a decent start.
All right, so in 2019 they're 16-12. They were in second place. They are in second place, a game and a half behind Minnesota. Last year they were 15-12 through April, 14-10 in 17, and 10-11 in 16. But the last 3 years, it hasn't been bad at all.
No, the big difference between last year and this year is that you're talking about a 5.5 game swing in the division.
Right.
I believe the Twins will be there probably till the end.
Although they got pounded last night down in Houston.
Sure.
Houston.
Well, they were in Minnesota, I believe. But
yeah,
I mean, the Twins, so far it's 1-1 at the series. I think it concludes tonight. I'm not positive.
Right.
But the Twins are a solid to good team that's going to push the Indians, I believe, this year. You know, when I say no grades for draft because we don't know about these guys, you could grade the Indians on their April, and because it's done, because you saw what happened, and I would think something in the neighborhood of a B+. An A would have been first place, maybe 18, 19 wins, but as it stands, you're not going to complain about this record given some of the craziness that's happened. The fact that you didn't have Lindor at the outset, the fact that Kipnis was down, Kluber's been erratic, Carrasco's been erratic, Cargo wasn't with you at the start. You've been in and out of Hanley Ramirez. You know,
here's what's hard to believe.
So,
among other things, that Francisco Lindor, and I refuse to call him Frankie, by the way. Francisco Lindor has only played in 9 games.
It
doesn't seem.
It seems like he's played in more. It seems like the Indians have played more. Maybe it's because I fell prey to the longer spring training when I said I wouldn't, and I was watching too many spring training games.
Right.
But I feel like the Indians have been playing for 3 months, and the fact is it's only May 1st. And we also noticed that Frankie Lindor, admittedly small sample, no walks. Which is kind of weird.
No walks in 9 games.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of strange to me that Frankie Lindor
Well, they're
does not have a
certainly
walk.
not pitching around him.
No. And, you know, you also realize Jose Ramirez continues to struggle.
Well, let's take a look at Ramirez. And I don't know, I can't tell if he's coming out of it or not.
Just when I thought I saw some good swings, then I don't see
they went
them.
by the wayside. All right, so in 2017, he was hitting .330 at this point, last 3 Aprils. 267 last year, 181 right now. 6 homers, 7 homers, and 2 homers. And then you go to RBIs, 21 and 17, 16 and 18, and just 9 in 2019. And strikeouts, I don't know if that's to be concerned with or not. 15, 11, and 17. It's the new game of baseball.
True. The encouraging part when you look at that graphic is that he took that 2018 slow start and turned it into an MVP candidate before he cratered in the final 2 months of the season, plus the post. So last year's April did not lead to a bad season because he went bananas in, May, June, and July.
You have a guy who normally starts out slow, but he's starting out very hot this year, and that, of course, is Carlos Santana. You look at the numbers here, his batting average right now is at .316. Seems to me like he's got more than 3 home runs, but we double-checked it, triple-checked it. I don't know.
I agree with you. And it's hard to believe that 2 of his homers have come in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
He only had 1 that first
hard
stretch.
to believe. 16 RBIs, 18 strikeouts, and 18 walks. 4 for 9 in the last 2 games, 4 for 9, couple of homers, 3 RBIs in the last 2 games. Then we come to the next man, and that's Corey Kluber, who's on the mound tonight. And Kluber has only had 2 quality starts, D-Man, 31 innings, 5.81 ERA, 35 strikeouts, 15 walks. His opponents are hitting .287, and he only had 34 walks the entire last season. So
I don't want to sound like an apologist for Kluber, but I'm going to apologize for him here. He's closer than it appears. I think a lot of his walks issues have come from actually the ball moving more than he expected it to.
Good point.
Which is a good sign.
Good point. All right, Trevor Bauer didn't pitch well last night by his own admission, but he got the win. Trevor Bauer this season, 47 and 2/3 innings, 2.45 ERA, 55 strikeouts, 23 walks. Opponents hitting just 167. And in April of 2018, last year, 40 innings, 40.5 40 and a third innings, 2.45 ERA, 46 strikeouts, and 16 walks.
Cha-ching. I mean, he'll be going to the arbitration table in the offseason and banking another monstrous check with another win.
He admitted he didn't pitch very well, but you can get away with that against the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, and he's a new schooler, so he doesn't care about individual pitcher wins, but he did give his team a chance to win. And as you pointed out, Les, the stat that was disseminated on social media about him, 60 consecutive starts of no more than 4 earned runs. That's one of the longest runs since in the DH era.
Second in history, and the first was Maddox, and he pitched in the National League without the DH, 161 games.
Yeah, I mean
101 games more than the second place guy, Trevor Bauer.
Bauer is terrific. There's no question. I do worry a little, and he would laugh at this, but his total pitches so far are pretty high, or is pretty high.
Right.
The total for his number of pitches thrown, but he says he can throw 200 a game.
What do you think he's going? You think he's going for the strikeout more this year than before?
No, I think he's just a little wilder than he wants to be. I don't think his command or his control is quite where he wants it to be.
Well, he hit a guy last night, certainly not on purpose.
Yes, I can't. Why am I blanking on his name? But he had just gotten activated.
Yeah, the redhead, Scott, I believe.
It was unfortunate for that young man.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We'll take a look at our Facebook question of the day, and that question is: 1 month into the season, what surprises you most about the Cleveland Indians? So let's take a look. Andy Mees starts it off. He says Nick Whitgren has been a pleasant surprise, coming in and getting the ball to Brad Hand with the game in balance without giving up runs. If he keeps it up, this would be one less setup man that Antonetti and Chernoff will have to trade for at the trading deadline. Dave Shoup says how many pitches Bauer is throwing each game. That's really old school. Hope he doesn't wear it out.
I promise I didn't read Dave's before I mentioned that.
Hope he doesn't wear it out before the All-Star game. Rick Mays says biggest surprise that the Indians have a winning record going into May with that lineup. Here's hoping the hitting warms up as the weather does. Kevin Pyle says that the Indians have won more games by the end of April than any other time since Francona has been manager, and they are above 500 starting in May. The list goes on. Tim Gebhardt says, I'm surprised how well Carlos Santana is hitting the opposite way and keeping his average up. Dennis Davis, how good defensively Roberto Perez is. If he could hit 230, he'd be an all-star. I don't know about that. Danny Freeman, that they finished 16-12 in April with that roster Francona had to put together out there. I'm satisfied with April. The only part of that April that I didn't like was when he brought in Brad Hand in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Up by 4, and he wound up. He didn't want to lose one game. He wound up losing 2 as a result.
Well, he split it. He won the first one. He said he wanted to get the one in his pocket, but we believe he could have won both because I wanted Whitgren to finish the first one and then Hand for the second. But it's difficult to criticize Francona body work. By the way, those Facebookers, excellent job on all those points. I laughed at the Roberto Perez one, not because it wasn't a good point, but because 230 as a standard for your hitting is kind of funny. But